that's a triple play. New episodes, I couldn't wait. Yeah, open your mind at the first gate. Press play, no need to debate. AoA, check me out. Look, plugged in, you can catch the hype. Golden Dawn, how we follow the light. Anime like life, married to it, my wife.
What is going on, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, people of all ages? Welcome back to the AoA show. I'm your host, as always, Ian, along with my boys, Zaya.
Yo, yo, yo.
And Gavin.
Hi.
Who is very tired today, so he's got his blankie with him for this episode. Today, we are going to talk about The God of High School, episode 12. This one was called Fox/God, and boy, oh boy, was it confusing. Like, really confusing. But anyway, if you guys enjoy the content today, make sure you guys are liking, subscribing, hitting that notification bell, sharing with your friends, and commenting your thoughts down below. Hit us up on our audio-only platforms, Spotify, iTunes, Google Play, etc. Hit us up on the socials and follow us there so you can keep up to date with what is going on in our lives and with the show. You can support us on Patreon at patreon.com/AoA show. Join our community Discord. So much fun. A lot of great people there. Yes. Conversate with folks that are like-minded like you and build a community with us. We can't wait to see you there. And big announcement here. A lot of you probably already saw it, but we now have merch. What? AoA merch, which has been a huge deal for us. We're very excited. You could find that also in the description, along with all of these other links in the description down below. So anyway, really cool stuff. Let's get into this discussion, though. What the hell's going on? Does anybody have any thoughts? Nothing? No? Me neither. All right. All right. Go ahead.
So it is a negative point, but it's one that I haven't had about any of the episodes so far. I kind of feel like this episode was like the ugliest looking one of all the ones that I've seen so far, at least personally. I don't know. There was something about there was the obvious CGI, alien and things. That didn't help. But I just feel like the animation was a little bit lackluster compared to what we've seen in this. You know what I mean? Think of episodes 5 or whatever fight or whatever episode rather, the Mori Dawi fight was, and Mirror, I don't know. I feel like compared to the tournament fights, which really showed off the animation, this one, it wasn't terrible, but I was just I don't know. I guess I had come to expect, I was I just figured I'm all right, the more balls out we get with the plot, you know what I mean? We're gonna bump up the animation. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. I thought it was so incredibly fast-paced, this episode. I mean, and we say that because everything's been fast-paced, but this one in particular was super fast-paced. That maybe that, for me, I thought it was all right. I could see what you're talking about, though, but I think there was just, literally, it was they didn't have time to take one specific fight for more than 5 seconds and flesh it out and be let's show off these cool moves and stuff. And maybe that's why. I don't know, throwing it out there. I never screw with CGI, so that's just a thing in general. But when you're doing a mass horde of flying demon things and all that kind of jazz, it tends to happen. It is what it is. But I'm not really going to complain too much about that because it was very minuscule, and the rest of the show and the episode, the animation is fantastic in my personal opinion. Yeah, but just trying to dissect what the hell was going on in this one, it was even because last episode we had the discussion, and I was you know what? I think I'm kind of up to speed on some of the things that I need to be up to speed on. And then I just tripped and fell, and now I'm 3 laps behind again. I was okay, I'm lost again, and you got an episode left. So it was wild. So tackles him out of the window. We get a little bit of backstory from take Jaigal, who kind of his backstory was interesting. Not interesting, kind of pissed me off actually, because it was it's they planted it, so they have his father talking to him, and he's your mother's a loser, basically, and then he's kind of giving him these advice, and they're very hard truths. It's very Cobra Kai style of training, you know what I mean? Where it's tough love, and it's
G.I. Joe reference.
Cobra Kai is from the Karate Kid.
Oh
yeah. But the Cobra Kai school, basically.
There's a Karate Kid? Jesus, even
the Cobra Kai school's the villains, and basically their sensei teaches all their kids in their karate school where it's you have to be ruthless, you have to everyone else is a loser, we're winners here, and then the good guy school is very go with the flow and be kind.
I think in G.I. Joe there's some nigga named Cobra. King Cobra or something.
Oh yes, I think
that's
I
what
don't know,
I was thinking of.
Anyway, that was the reference that I pulled from. It was like Cobra Kai style of training, where it was like very tough love. His father's like, we don't accept any BS. Like you're either a winner or a loser. Blah blah. But I'm not gonna lie, some of the wording that he was using, I honestly 1,000% agreed with, in the sense that he's like, listen, dude, like a loser in the way that he put it, at least the way I interpret it, wasn't like anyone who's not you is a loser, but that's definitely how Jaigal interprets it. But I think interpreted it the correct way, he's basically saying, he's like, listen, dude, any sort of loser out there or someone that was destined is going to make any amount of excuses or find any sort of reason as to why they lost, instead of saying, I'm not going to lose from the start like a winner does, you know what I mean? And not finding any reason that they like, you know what I mean, that they should lose at all. Like the decision was already made from the rip. And like, okay, you could consider that a little more extreme, maybe not. And there's definitely some context behind that, right? Everyone's different situations in life, all that kind of jazz. But on a very surface level, I'm like, yeah, I agree with like a lot of things that he's saying. Like, to be honest, his mom was kind of a dick, you know what I mean, for like selling him as well. Like, you know, he wasn't wrong in a lot of things, but it seemed like Jaigal like wasn't, I don't know if they were trying to push forward the narrative that Jaigal was like corrupted by his father and like that's why he's evil or not. But if they did, I think that's weird, because I think he's just crazy. You know what I mean? But it seemed like they were kind of trying to push that narrative a bit, where it was like because of his upbringing, you know what I mean? Like this is what's turned him into this.
I think
dude.
the problem with like either what his dad like told him, like, you know, is that if that is the phrasing or if that is the mantra, so to speak, that Jaigal grew up on, it's awfully vague. Like it doesn't give a lot of room for specifics. And Jaigal's situation is not common. Like it's not like, you know, oh, like everybody in school had this happen to you. It's like, so like this kid doesn't need vague Cobra Kai sensei like mantras. He needs to like be like tutored and like nurtured and like and so like I just imagine if this kid had that fucking kind of mantra rolling around in his head all day, like, yeah, he might snap one day and be like, all right, well then fuck it, I'm just never going to lose and kill everybody. It's like, that's not what he meant, sure, but you did not give him a lot of explanation as to
totally
what, like, how he should interpret that. And it's like, I kind of feel like, I mean, again, at the end of the day, I kind of weirdly enough, like we just, you know, yesterday, just got off the rip of the Tower of God chapters. I'm kind of in the same situation with him that I am with Beta from Tower of God, where it's like,
spoiler alert.
I feel bad, if you haven't read up to those chapters, where it's like I feel bad for him, but it's like, dude, like you're just straight killing. I'm like, at some point, you know, there's a line where it's like I just, you know, I can't, you know, I lose the connection because it's like, but like now, like that was then. Now you're still eating people and like killing people.
He's
and
just
like
he's just crazy. He's just out of his mind, because it's like, even like, and I agree, you know, like he was incredibly vague. At least the backstory we got, right? Like Manhwa might have fleshed that out a little more. Maybe the father was like putting these weird seeds in his head where he's like, go kill people or like whatever. We don't know. We literally got a sentence out of him. He's like, don't be a loser. The end. You know what I mean? That was his mantra.
Winners eat people.
Yeah. And it's like, for real. So it was like, but it was interesting. Like with the, so like in a lot of these fights, right, it's like there are stakes in them, and the more they're able to develop the psychology of a character and why, and their motivations and why they're doing what they're doing, makes you kind of pick a side, or like, oh, I love to hate this person, or like I really want this person to win, and it puts more stake in the fight. And I just felt like his mantra, you know, don't be a loser, was just so incredibly vague and like didn't describe anything, you know what I mean, in terms of anything else, that I was just like, well, no shit, I want you to lose. Like I'm not going to feel like, you know, I don't really feel for it all, whatever. So I'm chalking it up to the fact that he's literally out of his mind. Like I think regardless of what he was taught, he's just absolutely crazy. And like has like some sick sadistic fetish for just eating people and killing them and just making everyone's lives miserable for no reason. It's not even like, I was wrong, I'm going to do this thing. It's like, I'm just crazy from the rip. I feel like maybe it would have helped. It probably would have helped if he had better mentorship. And again, the manhwa might flesh this out as to why he's like, maybe he was totally innocent and he did go crazy. But based off what we've seen strictly from the anime, I would wager to say, even if he had Jin Mori's grandfather as a tutor, I think he'd still be he'd just be a little bit off, you know what I mean?
Like, I feel like this, like, and it's kind of been a recurring theme with most of the characters so far, you know, again, at least in the anime, where it's like, we'll get hit with the backstory rip, right? And it's like, oh, damn, like, this is what so-and-so's been through. And, like, most of them, I'm like, okay, and then by the time I, like, start getting into it, it's like, no, that's it. It's either over and they're gone, not to be seen again, or it's like it doesn't. It's just not enough. Like, you know, and like Jaigal's, I think, is kind of worst case scenario because even with like Il Payo, like, you know, when that fight started with him and Mori, I just off the fact that like I knew more, I'm like, all right, Mori's protagonist, he's a pretty chill guy. Like, I kind of want him to win over Il Payo because I don't know this dude. Yeah. And then like we get his backstory, and I'm like, oh, okay, okay, you got a little bit of something here, but it's like, I don't know, it's something about like the way this show. And I'm chalking it all up till I have no idea what they're doing with the pacing, because it's like there's something about the way that they introduce characters and the way, because those moments are supposed to work, right? They're supposed to sympathize you to the characters, regardless whether they're a good or bad character, right? That's like the goal. And like I feel like if we come out of that moment and we're still at the exact, you know, again, I don't want to, at least for me, I'm still in the exact same place I was with Jaigal before that. It's like, well, you just wasted time. You just wasted screen time. You know what I mean? Like if you're not gonna take the time to flesh out these characters, because again, for me, like this whole narrative has been about these characters. If I don't like these characters or care about them, like I'm not. You could raise the stakes up to like 45,000, but I'm not gonna care if this dude's gonna fight in this tournament or if this god is gonna blow up this planet if I don't care about the characters that are, you know, interacting and trying to solve it.
And I know we're gonna get 9 million comments being like, read the webtoon, definitely.
Yeah, read the webtoon.
All that
just
kind
stop
of
watching
stuff.
the anime. It's
It's like, you know, I have to, you know, obviously chalk it up to the fact that they're just trying to cram so many things at one given time. Like,
I think it's
think of the amount of things that happen in this episode alone.
It's like 170 chapters the first season of
170?
I think
70?
So. Yeah, I think so. It was either 170 or like
117, maybe?
Yeah, like one somewhere in like 120 to 170 range.
Okay. I would assume it's got to be like 120 because that is absolutely.
But even if it's
insane.
like 120, like 120 is like
no, I know,
that's like
I know.
stupid. Like to crush that into 13 episodes.
But that's what it is. You know, at the end of the day, they're trying to fit in this cult leader dude who's trying to summon Buddha/devil. You know, we're trying to incorporate the members of the Six. You got Mugen. You got Il Pio, you got you know, Mori. The key, that's something I want to talk about. That is interesting because again, where I felt like I fell behind again, I'm like, oh, it's a literal key. It's a literal key. I thought Il Pio was the key. You know what I mean? The manifestation of it. And this is something that was literally in him. So like, was this implanted? Did this grow inside him? Was this something unlocked? Oh, and could only have been unlocked by him?
It might have been because the, you know, from the whole lore thing that we had last time, they said that the fox, you know, god that is in that, you know, whatever this with Il Payo was like, you know, homies with God or whatever. So like maybe he had the key before like he got banished or whatever. Yeah. And so it was like in the fox. And so, you know.
Well, another thing with that is how would what's his name? Oh my god, we literally just said it.
Il Payo?
No, not Il Payo, the other one.
Jaigal,
yeah. How did Jaigal have the ability to get the key out of Il Payo to begin with? And that's kind of something that bothered. That's something that bothered me with this like episode in particular. Was it just seemed like a lot of people had random abilities that came out of nowhere. Like even Dowie, when he just fucking like started healing people, and he's like, "Oh yeah, by the way, like I just learned this and I kept it a secret." And it's like, there's a few things that bother me a lot in shows, and that's just when you're introducing stuff without any like hint of just like this is a possibility. And it's one thing, like I get it, people have like aces up their sleeves or trump cards and things like that, but like it's just so like that was just so random. And then with the key just popping out, I'm like, okay, how did that pop out? What ability is even able to do that? And like what are the physics behind what's going on? And with the pacing on top of that, it like you don't have a moment to sit and even like think about like how that could be a possibility. And like the fact that they don't even like double back and even like have a little tidbit in there like, oh, hey, like this of Jaigal, like blah, 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 blah. It's able to like resonate with the key and like get it out of Il Payo. Like, just give me a fucking breadcrumb and then can tie that loose end and we can move on. Don't just keep on like opening up chapters of a book and then leaving them open-ended and then just keep on compiling them and then expect people to be okay with it. Because like for the majority of the episode I was cool with, it was just the random little like, oh, we needed to slip this in there because it's relevant in the manhwa, and we're just not going to give anybody who is just watching the anime strictly any idea of what it is because they should have read the manhwa or something. Like, I don't know. It felt very out of place.
There's a few times where I feel like you can do something off screen and it works because like you're taking that entire moment away from the viewer to experience. And we saw, you know, if we're assuming that Mori, Mira, and Dowie here are the three main characters, we saw I mean, like Mora didn't, I guess, like technically unlock it or unlock the whole thing or whatever, but we saw him like tap into it or whatever. And we saw Mira just straight get hers. So for Dawi's to be like, oh yeah, I did it like yesterday. It's like, I'm good. I can use it now. And it's like, okay, cool, dude. Like, you know what I mean? It's like, all right, wish I could have saw that. That could have been done. Like, there's just like, again, it's the pacing. My number one problem here, it's like, I don't know why we decided to like cut certain scenes out or like, sort of like you were saying, where it's funny, a lot of anime that I've watched where it's like, especially like this kind of shonen style stuff where it's like they're fighting for 5 minutes and then they're like, somebody will use a move and it's like, oh, well, that move does this, X, Y, and Z. And it's like, we needed some of that because like you said, like there would be moments where Ilpayo and Jaigal are fighting and Ilpayo's just whooping ass and fucking throwing feet and fists in his dude's face. And then like all of a sudden he's like, he's just taking hits and shit, and then like a split second, he's got like 9 booger monsters just coming out of nowhere and like gnawing on him, and I'm like, where did that come from? And there's zero explanation. You're just supposed to know that he can do that now, and then we move on. It's like, wait, hold on, like, how did he do that? What is that? Where, like, give me a breadcrumb, give me something to work with here. Like we're moving at 120 miles.
The booger monsters, bro, dead ass. That's what they were.
Literally look like just like. Oh man,
yeah, that is so accurate. That was the thing more than Dewi that kind of bothered me was the whole like, well, okay, I'm trying to justify it. They gave like a small thing in the sense that you're assuming that the father had a deal with the cult or Jaigal made one, and that's why he grabbed the red aura from the cult master. And in that short scene, and that's how he was able to get said ability.
like how he got the ability to do it.
Sure,
but like, does that mean anybody who gets that thing?
No, that's what I'm saying.
Like,
there's so much more to that.
Yeah.
Like, is that something that awakens, or is that like once he's pushed against the wall? Is that something he could have used the entire time, and he just decides to use Megalodon as his weapon of choice? You know what I mean?
Like is his chariot he can switch between things? Like, I don't know.
Is that the Megalodon? It's just warped. You know what I mean? Like whatever.
I think that's what bothers me the most is that they have these Chariots, but then it's like there's so many other like random stuff that isn't relatable to said Chariot, and it's like, why is there this weird blending of stuff? Like I thought like shark bait was his thing, and then all of a sudden like that literally didn't even make an appearance in the show. And I get it, like he transformed, but like I don't know. I wish
the more I'm thinking about it, the booger monsters make more sense than the Megalodon ever did to begin with, right? Because like at least the booger monsters
they had
get
teeth in common. That was about it.
No, but I'm saying the booger monsters, at least it's implied that that ability is from the god that the cult is trying to revive. You know what I mean? So it's like that's my shared chariot. Whereas like the shark, it's like, is there a Megalodon god that I wasn't aware of? You know what I mean? Like,
I mean, unless it's some like, although you guys haven't like read it for Chainsaw Man, like there's similar references where you can like make contracts with like devils and demons, and like with that you can have compounding stuff, or like make different contracts with different gods.
That's kind of what I feel like they were implying with like just his physicality, how it's like he's got all these eyes and mouths everywhere and shit. That it's like he's sort of like this weird manifestation of like several different contracts or deals or different borrowed powers. But I don't know because the anime didn't tell me. I like that. It's like, I don't know. They have to guess.
Dude, how about Mugen just getting the shit out of the stick? I want to see this dude cut loose, and every time he's got to come and be like, oh, son of a bitch.
And it's great because the anime would cut scenes of all his lackeys just cutting loose, bro. They're like ripping 90 aliens apart by the minute, and this nigga, one dude is counting up his paycheck. He's like, 30,000, 40,000, 50,000, $1 million. And then like Jaigal, or not Jaigal, Park, is just sitting there like, one more minute. Yeah. And you're like, damn, bro, I kind of feel like he should be out there ripping out demons and y'all should be holding up the whatever God or Buddha.
Finally, he's like, bro, I just can't hold this anymore, dude. Like, I quit.
And then his 2 homies come in and like, nah, we got you. And all 3 of them weren't enough to do it. It's like, if we kind of just wasting time doing this.
They gave out in a second. You know what I mean?
And then like, the savior of the day, Mr. fucking Magician with the sweetest top hat, I might have to add.
Yes.
Which not only had the best scene,
undeniably the best scene and character of this whole episode.
Like literally, Spark Note. Are you ready for this? I don't think you're ready. Buddha, okay, plus Mount Rushmore, plus Boulder equals Boom Boom. Oh, plus nukes equal Boom Boom.
That's right. I actually think he transformed the nukes into the Mount Rushmore thing, right?
I don't know, but it went Boom Boom, so it had to be nukes.
And like literally disassembled the nukes on a molecular level, and then the Mount Rushmore thing came out, and I was like, again, because you refer to him as one of the 6, and I'm like, we don't need 5 more people, bro. Like,
we just needed him.
Dude. Because in all the problems that were going on, the God thing, the nukes, he took care of all of it. All of it. In like one swing of his wand. fucking Harry Potter over here.
You had like hundreds of people fighting, and this one man was like, "I'm just gonna literally teleport
and he teleported the entire city out of here.
City.
He literally came in
Like
and
hundreds
went,
of thousands.
Dickus, Spickus, and just push, and just blasted everyone away. And then he went,
oh my God.
like,
I need that word.
Spookus, and just like, push, just blast
God.
out.
But it's like, that's what I'm talking
happening?
about, is like, we spent, what, I don't know, 15, 20 minutes building up the tension of like, fuck, how are we going to get out of this? There's like nukes coming, there's aliens gnawing at people, there's shit happening. And then this dude comes in and just literally, this is the plot, and he's like in the conflict, and he's like, just wipes it all away. And I'm like, all right, but like I kind of, what was the point?
And I love how he was just like never introduced. Like we kind of knew that he was like that one, like that was faded out of the 6, but like literally just like no introduction, no reference to him really anywhere. And he literally just comes in and mops the floor like instantly. It's like, all right. Like,
that's what I mean. Like these
what's the
crazy like power shifts and scales. And it's like, I don't know who's stronger than who. I don't know who can do what. Because this dude who's one of the 6 kind of seems stronger than literally everybody else in the show, including God. We just hand-fisted with Mount Rushmore. Like, what's going on here? I need an explanation.
balls are fisted.
And I love how his wand was literally like this big. It was like Mr. Krabs with the smallest violin. He's like, with this wand, and it's just like beep. And it's like, bro, you couldn't have got one that matched your
Bro,
size.
I would have wanted to be bigger. Imagine what he could do then. He'd have like
right?
8 Mount
He's just
Rushmores.
doing it with his pinky and his finger, and it's just
I'm just saying, bro, the whole like God of high school tournament thing, that's cool if you want to just do that to have kids fight. But if that's to like recruit people to fight God, we don't need it. Just call him up. Like
Dude.
just call up the
Well, no,
magician.
now he's dead. So
Well, yeah. Now he was like a fucking
RIP.
like
dropped.
you know, the Minato thing where it's like he's so busted and he just leaves. It's like fuck, now we're all on our own again.
Dude, I don't know. That was absolutely insane. And I'm convinced also the other member of the 6, when he put up his shield, it's because he didn't have his mariachi band behind him is why he was
exactly.
able to hold
Yeah,
it.
yeah.
He was like, oh, wait a minute, I'm powerless if I don't have my boys behind me. And they're just like, bro, like Jerry's drum broke. We got to go back and fix that. And he's like, not now. And just collapsed on him. Somebody throw me a pine cone,
Oh my
anything.
God.
that
play the triangle. Play the triangle.
Yeah. Man. And so like okay. So then they teleport them right to like or they teleport, you know, Mori, all the main characters get teleported to some
To the
other
island,
remote
yeah, or
island.
whatever.
And then, you know, the rest of the NPCs get taken just outside the city. But like what was weird to me was that moment. So Mori, you know, gets separated from Dawi and Mira, right? And he's with Ilpayo. And he's talking and they wake him up or whatever and they're like, oh, you made a promise, like you gotta get strong enough to stop Jaigal. And he's like, oh, this key, like what is it? He's like, I don't know, but Jaigal really wants it. Why don't you take it and just run? It's like, what? Why? We just established that, like, Jaigal's willing to kill for that thing, and you're just going to give it to Mori, who you just basically met, and just let him run off on his own?
Well, to be fair, Mori did, like, mollywop Ilpayo with the hand of, like, a monkey god.
True,
so that,
but it was
you know,
not, like, a one-sided fight. Like, Ilpayo had him pretty pinned
I
until
don't know.
he
I
accessed
think
God.
to coin Gavin's words, we had him in the first half. Like Ilpayo was definitely put
what
in
I'm
the hurt,
saying
but then once
is-
Mori was
what
like,
I'm saying is-
oh, duh, I could do that.
If Mori could do the God thing on command, I'd be like, yeah, nigga, take the key and run. Like, you got this. But it's like, he clearly, like, tapped into that shit, like, fucking, you know, Naruto first time
Yeah.
Nine Tails thing. And it's like, I don't know if he can do
No,
that
I
on
think
command.
Ilpayo was under the assumption that it's like my job as whatever my character was to make it so you unlocked that what I do.
I
You're like, my job as whatever character I am.
It's like the characters don't even know what they're doing in the
I
show.
don't know. That's what I'm going.
Well, I mean, they don't. They're running around, like, trying to fucking help each other, and they're like, what's happening?
I'm chalking that up to, well, no, I think this is genuinely it. Like, he was trying to train Mori in that expedited version of one fight to be like, okay, you need to be strong enough to fight him, and I'm doing what I need you to push you to the absolute limit so you could unlock whatever ability is. I would have to assume when Mori fights him this time, he's going to have to use that again, and he's going to have a slightly better mastery of it. You know what I mean? Like, I think that's really what it is at the end of the day. So I understand that one, but
It's just, again, like, it's weird with the pacing because it's like, I'm supposed to, is that implying that in a fight, Mori, like, can just all of a sudden master this thing, which seems stronger than everybody's chariot combined, except for maybe the magician dude. Like, I don't know. It's like, okay, but if it's that strong, then in my mind, I'm like, it should take longer to master, no? Like, it shouldn't just be like a one
again, that's
fight.
the thing. We're moving at 145 miles an hour. You know what I mean? Like, realistically, maybe in the manhwa that, like, the events that happened from said fight to whatever maybe or like maybe Mori's like, okay, I tapped into it. Maybe all he needs is that again, right? Maybe all he needs is a tenth of it again because we saw Monkey Hand just swat him, immediately kill. If he's just like, it just felt so like
okay, here's Shu, because he like doesn't tell him anything about Jaigal, doesn't tell him like what this dude's up to or like what he's capable of. Like literally gives him the key and tells him to run. And
I'm not so much like torn up on that one because it's like he didn't like. There are a lot of stuff like he just didn't have the time. Quite frankly, he's like, I might die any second. I did what I could to try and train you for this small amount of time that I can. We don't have a choice. You know what I mean? He got teleported here with us. Take the key, do whatever you can. Because to be honest, Mori is the most well-equipped person to fight Jaigal out of every single person there, considering Dewi and Mira got shit stomped within a split second, you know, even with their combined attack, which is, I was upset that they didn't like fully flesh that out for a second. I wanted to see like the Susanoo Ninetales
that
thing.
Combo thing was pretty dope.
Yeah.
Well, was.
For the fraction of the second that we saw it.
And it didn't work anyway.
To the next scene, then it comes back.
It's also pretty cool because I guess that means that Dawi's Chariot can heal, like it's a offensive and like a buff kind of deal where he can like heal people, but he can also use it as a weapon. I'm telling you, man, I would have loved to see him unlock that. I would have loved to see it.
I was not expecting that to be his Chariot, to be honest with you. Like, knowing
that's what I'm
Dewi's
saying.
character from the rip, right? How we were like, when this show first started, which I feel like was 3 years ago at this point, because
really does
from
feel
episode 1 to 5 is a literal different show.
It
than
really
where
does
we are.
feel
Like,
like
literally, once it got to like, I would say episode like 6 and it started to and then it got to like 8, you know. But like from 1 to 5, knowing Dewi's, or I thought I knew Dewi's character, I didn't expect that to be like if you know, personality plays any role in it, or like whatever God is like taking interest in him or whatever. Like, he didn't seem like, you know, I guess you could argue, okay, was his friend was in the hospital, he's very loving at his core, like maybe the healing thing, but like I guess I'm just so used to him like, and like 40 dudes went flying that I'm like, I'm picturing him having some like giant smash ability, you know what I mean, or whatever. But whatever.
Well, bad timing for him to now get the healing ability. Otherwise, when his friend was in the hospital, he went from like actually watching him die to, I could have saved him. Oh well, you know.
That's that sucks, dude. Yeah, dude. How about when Jaigal took the key at the end there and just turned into a baby and then immediately into adult within
that
like
was it.
5 seconds.
That was it for me, man.
Dude,
I mean, and not to say that like I've been tight with the plot so far, but like when this nigga just straight up like de-aged and then re-aged again, I was like, what are we doing?
Yeah,
like,
he was reborn. He was reborn.
Dude, I was really giving it my dudidgery best, like my best and my best try.
His
like
dudidgery best.
I was giving it all I had, man, to be like, all right, let me follow this. And I'm just like doing the math meme where the lady's like this and all the numbers. I'm like, okay, because again, I was like, I felt like I just fell flat on my face on the 3rd lap and we had 1 more to go. And I'm just like, okay, maybe that piece of the what's going on. But dude, once it came to him being like, as the baby, and then came an adult, I was like, I'm done.
We were doing our reaction, like the baby happened, and all 3 of us looked at each other and we go, who the fuck's that baby? Where'd he come from? And then someone was like, I think it's Jaigal. And I'm like, what? How you know that? Like, we're so lost. I was like, what the?
He's just like, just like went into an adult. He's like, I'm Angel Man now. And you're just like, what, dude?
Yeah, it's funny you said the analogy of like, it feels like this show started 3 years ago. Because literally, I feel like that's how I describe this show. Is like, you're looking at episode 1, you're like, oh, okay. And you're like, oh, and you sneeze and you look back up and like gods are blowing up buildings. And you're like, what happened? We were just doing what happened?
We're not in Kansas anymore. Dude. Yeah. Yeah, it's wild, dude. That was that was insane. I literally
I feel bad for the manhwa readers because I'm not one of the guys who manhwa or manga, whatever. I'm not one of those guys who's very like who's super analytical and who's like, they don't like fucking adapt like every fucking panel of this goddamn page, like word for word, beat for beat, like ink line by ink line. I'm gonna be a little pissed. Like, not, you know what I mean? Like, if you do it, if you keep the story intact, I'm all good. But I don't know where the story was here. Like, I feel like I just imagine having read the manhwa and just being like sitting down to watch this, and you're like, oh, okay, wait, we're just okay, okay, what? Okay. Oh, wow. Like, and you know, by this episode, you're like, whatever, man.
And also, too, I feel bad for them because, you know, we get it in the comments all the time, which we will in this video as well, where it's like, you know, whenever I get it, you know what I mean? Like, if you stand something hard and you like it, and I know that you manhwa readers have been like standing this story since its inception, right?
Yeah.
Which was X amount of years ago. And like the fact that you even got this animated is like a huge deal, right? Because now you could be like, now I can show all my friends of this like kind of reclusive thing in a sense that I was doing or that I was really about while everybody was under the radar. And now I can show them like what they were missing, right? And like everyone loves it. It's the best feeling in the world when you recommend something to someone or it's something you really like and your friend comes up to you or someone that you care about and they go, dude, that was awesome.
Yeah.
Right? I can't even tell you how many times if somebody comes up to me and they're like, dude, Berserk, I loved it. I'm like, you know what I mean? Like you get all giddy and you can't help it. You know, it just happens. So it's the same thing. I totally get it. You know, and manga readers, I feel for you because it's like, this is your shot to really like sell this story to people who are like, maybe quite frankly too lazy to read the manga or didn't even know of its existence. You know what I mean? And it's like, they're really doing you dirty here on these last couple, like on the home stretch here.
Don't like reading. Like anime is such a more accessible thing.
Yeah.
That it's like so much easier to be like, yo, watch this anime real quick. And like, again, I come back to my mantra here of like, the anime can sell this story of the webtoon. People will go read the webtoon when the anime is done. But it's like, it's just, I totally agree with everything you said. It's like when you, when you have something that like you're fucking with like this heavy and like got out of high school, dude, that was my shit. And then they're like, yo, we're making an anime. And you're like, oh, for real? Like shit. It's like, that's the dopest feeling in the world. But it's like, I don't not like God of High School, the story, but I do not like this anime. Like I just like the way that they've adapted this, the way that it's paid. I just don't fuck with it. I just don't. And that's not against you. Anybody who does like this anime, it's not against anybody who likes God of High School, the story. Because I actually think if we were to rework this and probably how the manga paces it out, that you could do the story justice and tell it in a like attractive way. But like, I'm not feeling it, dog. Not with the show. I'm just not.
No, it's wild. I obviously, like I said, you know, I do appreciate with it the animation, and maybe not in this episode in particular, but like some of the fight choreography, like was awesome. Like even in those small blips where we saw Elpio fight Jaigal and then Mori fight Jaigal and then whoever fight whoever, like in those hand-to-hand combat scenes, incredible. Like even in that short span of time, if you like deep dive, analyze, and put that in slow-mo, like the sequence of attacks that they're using, because that's what I'm looking for. That's the thing I like most in the show, that I'm like, that was sick. You know what I mean? Like I'm looking at it, I'm like, that was a sweet series of attacks or blocks or counters.
Yeah, and that
was awesome.
That is such like a cool part of the show. And again, I think I said this in one of our earlier discussions. I like kind of wish the God stuff like wasn't even a part of it. So
I literally do.
Just
I
stay
am 100%
in, like,
in that camp.
Yeah, like
I'm
stay
100%.
in the like ground to ground fighting shit. Because like that, like dude, the first couple episodes when it was like, oh shit, like Maury's a Taekwondo expert, but he's going up against like this person who's like this, and it's like just even that little component was like enough to carry me over. But like once we started being like, yeah, there's Grim Reapers and they can just fly up and stab niggas, it's like, all right, okay.
Because we literally went from like, I like to, it correlates to what I'm about to say, my point here. Like I remember one of my gripes with like some of the fourth grade Ninja War with Naruto, you know, being that I love that show and that story, but it was like, one of my gripes was like, okay, I feel like there was a slight power creep. Whether you disagree or agree, it doesn't matter. My point is that like, that took X amount of time to get to, and then I was like, this literally within 12 episodes has literally gone from like Chunin Naruto to like fucking control the Nine Tails almost. You know what I mean? Like,
but like
at that
in
point,
the time that the fourth grade Ninja War arc takes place, it's like we went from episode
like,
this to this, and like
that was insane. Yeah, it went so fast. Gavin, what do you?
It's like, Gavin, you good over there? What's happening?
What's going on?
I'm still so confused because like I'm trying to piece together like the actual episode and what happened and like just make something of it, and I can't. And it's not, I don't know, like I don't want to repeat Isaiah's words, and like I don't not like that. I think I do like the show. Again, it's just the pacing. I think they could have like done a better job with it and really fleshed things out. And if they did so, like even if they added a couple more episodes just to do it, it would have made it so much more viewer friendly and like actually advertise the manhwa properly and like put something out there that I think could have been better than what they did in this case.
No, that's
like,
fair.
Yeah,
it's
and I feel like it sucks
upsetting.
because like I guess they're kind of, you're caught in this like weird, you know, conundrum where it's like 13 episode anime adaptation, especially for something that like is as new as this, as adapting a manhwa or webtoon, is like kind of the normal stretch, right? Like they're not getting 24 episode booked seasons out the gate. So it's like, but like, I don't know, again, it's like, okay, but like then we just have to restructure the way that we tell this story. It's not going to be beat for beat like the manhwa, and that's okay. But as long as like we can, shave down a version of the story that is still concrete and still like takes plot points and like consecutively follows them so that people are engaged. That's the biggest thing, dude. Like, again, if people are engaged for 13 episodes, like, I promise you, because again, I think there is something in this story. If people are engaged with those 13 episodes, like, they're gonna fuck with the manga. They're gonna hop off this anime and start reading that webtoon the second the 13th episode ends. But it's like, I'm not, based off this anime, based off the way this one in particular was handled, I don't feel that, that compelling feeling to do that.
I wonder what happens, like, when they get in the meeting room and it's like, how many episodes are we going to run this? I'm assuming it's just, I'm ignorant obviously to all that, but is it like, okay, we're going to take a chance on this so we don't want to make it too many episodes in case it flops, or like what the deal is with that? Because it's like,
well, it's
they
also,
gotta know
it's
by
also
this
studio
point.
time. So you figure like you have specific studios that have to work on many projects at one time.
Sure.
So, manhwa in itself is a risk, because it's not really, it's not very tapped, you could say. So it's like, why put so much time in this, manhwa, the God of High School, when we can be doing like the next Naruto? Although it's not the same studio, you get the gist of my point. It's like, for the studio, it's considered a risk because they can go on stuff that has notoriety and continue with it, and keep like finances stable.
And also, I
like
believe I'm not 100% on this, but I believe like essentially the way it is like you have like the producers, right, the people who purchase like the adaptation of said thing, right? Whether it's from something, a manga, a manhwa, whatever. And then they go out and get a studio to physically make the anime. But the people who bought it are the ones who set the rules. And so they bought, again, I'm making a lot of assumptions here, or hold knowledge, but like bought the right to use God of High School, and then went to Studio Mappa and were like, all right, we want you to make an anime out of this manhwa in 13 episodes. We're only paying, like, we're giving you 13 episodes. So it's like the studios are the ones who make the show, but like they're so capped by whoever actually bought and spent the money on this that it's like the studio can't just make however many episodes they want, or they can't like they're basically like literally just storyboarding whatever they're.
No, it's a shame, because I could definitely see this. I mean, obviously, it's like, does it really need to be said at this point? But like, give the show any more episodes, you know what I mean? Like every extra episode you give it will obviously help flesh it out, but it is what it is. It's the world we live in. It's just how the business works. So, it's like, it is what it is. I really don't have any more to say on that. And again, I mirror these guys in the sense that I don't dislike the show necessarily, or rather the story in really any way, shape,
it just
or form.
lacked execution at the end of the day.
I think, and honestly, I'd probably hold out even a little more than these guys, like, to each opinion their own. That's totally fine, whatever it is. But like I said, like this episode, I tripped and fell, and then I was just like, oh, they're off again. They lapped me. You know what I mean? And I'm just like, shit, like I got to try and catch up here.
It's
again.
like you have to be in a full sprint the whole time. If you like lose speed for a second, you're
I feel like literally, you have to run as fast as you can just to make sure you're standing still. You know what I mean? Just like that. That's how crazy it is. But
you want to know a trick to that? You just sleep, and then time stops around you.
It's not true.
Bro, have you ever slept and waken up and you're like,
I don't want people believing.
Whoa,
it's
hold on.
not
Have
true.
you ever slept and then woken up and you're like, wow, it's already morning? Where'd the time go? That felt so fast.
This is
Bam, you just time
100% off topic, but like super quick. We should get you the blanket that Laurel has from Tower of God.
Dog.
Yes,
I don't think, no, because I will literally, Ian will look at me and he'll go, Gavin, and I'll just be fucking drooling. Dude, this is comfy.
Yeah, actually, scratch that. It's got to be an AoA blanket.
It's got to be an AoA
You're right.
blanket.
What was I thinking?
All right, you guys can invest
buy all the merch. AoA blankets. We got pillows, blankets, socks, shirts, everything, dude. Everything.
I can't even see Gavin's camera.
Is the blanket fleece?
Yeah. It's a fleece blanket.
Feliz Navidad. That's what it is.
I hate you so much.
I love you too, Gavin. Anyway, folks, those are our thoughts on today's episode of The God of High School. Make sure you guys are liking, subscribing, hitting that notification bell, sharing with your friends, and commenting your thoughts down below. What did you think of this episode? What have you thought of God of High School as a whole? Especially if you are a manhwa reader or if you are an anime-only watcher, what are your thoughts? I'm curious to see if some of those thoughts differ or align with ours, if they're totally opposite, whatever. And let us know what you thought of our discussion as well. Make sure you buy all the merch. But until next time, we'll catch you next time.
Peace.
That was weird.
Good night.
We'll see you around. Bye.
Good night.
glamorized. Blazing the kunais. Find me in the leaf of the cloud. Screaming out Bankai. We just some ghouls though, who like seeing parts fly.